So America's birthday is tomorrow. It's my favorite day of the year. You can have all the other holidays. That's the one I get. How many of you, though, are going to be spending time with your family? Since we all have somewhere in that family tree some non-gun owning liberal in the family, it's best that you prepare for that inevitable debate. I think it's important to note that if you're against guns, by the way, you would have sided with the British, so probably leave this holiday to like the meat-eating, flag-waving patriots that would have actually gone to war. That said, you're still going to have to debate one of these people, probably. It's highly unlikely you're ever going to convince them that any of these liberals to think anything other than the way they currently do. But since likely they are family or at least close friends, let's talk about how to win that argument in a way that you won't be the bad guy. The only way I have ever had a liberal even remotely change their mind is to ask them a question and force them to realize on their own that they're wrong. This is the only way to win with these people. You have to put them in a position to realize their policies don't actually work. It's hard to do. But remember this, don't waste your breath unless there's an audience, because at that point, you're not actually arguing with that person, but rather with the folks who are observing the argument. And I encourage this for pure entertainment purposes, folks. It'll be fun. Your goal is to get the liberals to say the quiet part out loud. Just last week, we saw liberals expose their racism. Many even saying stuff like this in response to the Supreme Court, quote, "Blacks will never succeed in a merit-based system," end quote. Yikes. Again, get them to say the quiet part out loud. Then you harp on it. They will inevitably backtrack. They have to. Once they're called out on it, Miss Marsh did. She even lawyered up. Rational people will see that. You are the rational person in this argument. Now, it's human nature for them to gravitate towards the person that seems the most reasonable. So as you embark on this quest of defending America's values on her birthday, you need to know how it's going to unfold so you're ready for it. The number one rule for liberals is anytime you make a point, they have to turn from the merits of the issue and debate the emotional side of the subject. Example from last week when the Supreme Court said that a gay couple couldn't force a Christian designer to make their website. What does the left say? Oh, look at this. The court is limiting their LGBTQ rights. No. Here you just have to respond with another question. Well, what about the rights of the web designer? Does the Constitution not protect them too? Is forcing someone to provide a service for another person against their will not slavery? Then no matter what your answer is on this one, folks, be ready for it. If it doesn't agree with the liberal talking points, they will cycle this following playbook, whether they know it or not, but it's like programmed in these people. Stage one, they're going to insult you. Oh, you're so cruel because you don't want gays to have the same website as straights or whatever. It's dumb on its face, folks. Again, they're going to the emotional side, which then leads to stage two, identity politics. You could never understand because you're straight and whatever other group they decide to associate you with. Now, a good response to most liberals would be another question. So, am I not allowed to have an opinion on anything that I may not be demographically aligned with? I mean, that's all we're doing here, folks, is establishing the rules for the debate. They don't even know this. They don't see it coming yet. Well, we're not establishing the rules for them, but again, for everyone else around us to see, because you are going to use this against them later. They may see this coming, but hold them to it before they can move on to the next stage, which is victimhood, stage three. This is when they're really reaching, when they kind of know that they're already losing the argument. They'll say something like, I have seen systematic oppression of gays and experienced it, and it's horrible. I hope your child has never had to endure that, whatever. They're trying to make it an emotional thing again. Now, the way you beat this is simple, but you have to corner them and not let them speak in broad generalities, because that's their out. They do it all the time. Make them be specific. Ask them, can you name me one person who you know who has dealt with that? Or what law is this mythical systematic oppression scheme you are referring to? Because if there is, I can help you fight it. See, now they're totally screwed. Again, you're not cornering just them. This is for everybody to watch. And their response is going to be much of what I just said. It's going to be more broad generalities. Oh, do I really have to name all the times that happened? Yes, you do. They may have to even reach back into a time long ago where there may have been a law, like anti-sodomy laws or laws preventing gay marriage, but hold their feet to the fire because those laws don't exist anymore. Make them name one single instance they cite today, because they can't. Now, you're on the offense. Say something like, so you believe something but can't name me a single instance to back it up? This is surely going to embarrass them, but this is why you only argue with a liberal with an audience. Like clockwork, the cycle's just going to start all over again with the insult phase. Oh, you're too stupid to realize it, or something like that. It just repeats itself. If they storm off, it's because they know they lost. You win. But remember, the key here is to always keep your cool. Sometimes you just want to lose it, I know. But don't be the guy or gal yelling at the family barbecue. Let the liberals melt down. Then you win. This is how liberals argue. But the reason they win, sometimes, is because we as conservatives let them control the narrative. We cater to their temper tantrums. This doesn't only apply to the family barbecue or the dinner table, whatever. This applies to everything. Politics, media, even our educational institutions. Liberals always make it emotional, never factual, which always gives them an out. They own almost all the media, most of Hollywood, and Republicans don't fight back in any meaningful way. We always take the high road. We never fight fire with fire. Trump was the first guy to ever understand this concept. And that's why 2 years after leaving office, obviously he's running again for president, but he filled a stadium last weekend. It's like 50,000 people. That's a sold-out Major League Baseball game. Because Republicans have been dying for someone who fights back. We're in a civil war, folks. Not a physical one, but a cultural one. And there's no sitting this one out. Now, I've said it before, the battles you don't pick, you lose. You have to pick every battle, have every debate, because if you don't convince those people watching, they're going to watch that liberal wipe the floor with you. And they're going to side with the person who shouts the loudest because you look weak. So never back down. Our founding fathers certainly didn't. Joining me now to discuss, contributing editor and columnist at The Spectator, the author of Tucker, the biography, Chadwick Moore. Chadwick, I appreciate you being here. I'm assuming you probably have some family get-togethers coming on tomorrow. Did I say anything wrong about arguing with the libs?
I think you really nailed it. You know, I think you're a far more patient man than I am because after waiting into
No one's ever said that to me.
Yeah. And very generous, too, I might add. I think after wading into this territory for many years, I kind of choose not to fight with the liberal family. But I think you're right. They need to be put in their place. My advice would be, first of all, you have to understand which of the type of liberal you're dealing with, right? You've got, you know, type 1, which is sort of the angry, kooky, unhinged, violent, radical Antifa type. And that's just, there's nothing you can do. That's like a tornado of hate coming in your direction. You can't rationalize with it. You just have to wait for it to run out of steam. And then, of course, the more fun liberal to fight with is the smug, pompous, overeducated, full of themselves liberal. Yeah, those are the really fun ones because they think they know everything. But the thing that you always have to understand about liberals is that we know everything about them. And as you sort of referenced before, it's because we basically live in their world. We're educated in their systems. We consume their media. We know who they are. We know what they believe. We know why they believe it. And we know why they're wrong. They know nothing about conservatives. And they are so shocked whenever they counter a conservative who knows how to argue or who wants to present them with facts in a rational way. You know, you can certainly make some headway with liberals. You can certainly have them concede some points. For example, with the Supreme Court case that you mentioned, you know, you can explain to them this was a compelled speech case. This wasn't a case about, you know, not selling someone a loaf of bread because of who they are. And you can make some headway. But as soon as you start really digging deep into their core values and their core worldview, when they start to feel the ground shifts, they all freak out and they all run away and they all scream and they all name call and get emotional. Right. And that's really when it's over. They really have to come to it on their own if you ever really want them to change. Yeah, well, that's kind of my point here is they're never going to listen to you, but argue for the pack. And I have liberal in-laws, so you know, like it's always a festive thing. But don't worry, I have the Trump wine standing by in case they bring it up. So, but Jen Psaki, okay, this woman basically was, you know, right out of the White House and ushered into the MSNBC machine there, and now she has her own show. Listen to what she said this weekend.
Hear me out here. The GOP is trying to recruit Muslim Americans, a community that makes up less than 2% of the U.S. population, against another tiny marginalized group of Americans. transgender people.
Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. I wouldn't say that any Republican is trying to like corral Muslims to support their case. It's just our views happen to align on this one. Even the fact that they have acknowledged this over time many times, and yet still they're thinking that this is some sort of revelation.
Isn't that absolutely amazing? Like, it's so beyond them that staunchly religious people like conservative Muslims might be against this rallying cry of the left, and that they're not pets of the left the way that the left might want them to be. What evidence does Psaki have, once again, that there's some effort to recruit Muslim Americans to join against this transgender fight? Just normal people would be against this stuff, obviously. And, you know, the way it's so funny, I just saw this on Twitter. It looks like this racist white supremacy movement that they're always talking about is becoming the most racially diverse movement in America, because anyone who disagrees with them of all colors, Asian Americans now, Hispanic Americans, you know, they're all just hateful GOP bigots now, apparently.
Right. Well, and now that Elizabeth Warren, her 1,000, you know, 1 in 1,024th Native American won't get her into college, I think they're a little upset about that. But we're seeing this more and more as we move into this culture war. It used to be, you know, the Democratic Party largely commanded the minority vote from across a broad spectrum. But now it seems more and more, especially with the Hispanic community, they're saying, hey, look, I am so sick and tired of you guys telling me how to live my life under values I don't agree with.
Yeah, more and more people are waking up to the fact that, I mean, the Democrat Party has just gone full throttle into being, if you look a certain way, you are all the same, and all of your opinions are what our opinions are, and you must align with us. And more people are completely realizing what malarkey that is and how actually gross and racist that is. You know, they think that they can have a hold on certain groups of people, which they absolutely do not. You know, they believe that their Democrat talking points will be more powerful than their people's religion. You know, the highly Catholic Hispanic Americans, Muslim Americans, they believe that, you know, because the Democrats think that they are God and that their faith is their ideology. So they're totally unprepared, shockingly, to deal with religious people and totally surprised when they go against them.
Well, Chadwick, we're just uneducated rubes that are just trying to put one foot in front of the other. But I appreciate you joining me very much tonight, sir.
Absolutely. Happy 4th.
You too.